All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to today's episode of Fuel for Thought. I'm Katie Knappenberger, the Director of Performance Nutrition here at Northwestern. Today we are going to be talking about dissecting dietary supplements. We get a ton of questions about dietary supplements, and so I'm really excited to bring this content to you today. So just a little bit on where we are headed. We are going to be just doing a brief overview on dietary supplements, what they are, how they're regulated, some of the risks and benefits we need to be aware of. Then we're going to talk about how we approach dietary supplements here at Northwestern, how we review them in order to keep our athletes safe and eligible. I'm going to take you all through some examples of dietary supplements and exactly how I see them as a dietitian and some of the recommendations I would give to athletes who were considering taking those supplements. And then I'm just going to leave you with some tips about how to be proactive with your supplements and questions to ask about them before you even get started, just to take that proactive approach. So first of all, dietary supplements, the regulation piece on this is really unfortunate from a consumer perspective. So basically any company can bring any dietary supplement to market. There's no restrictions on that at all. So that dietary supplement can come to market, and if there are no adverse effects to that supplement, it can just exist on the market for as long as it exists. But what can happen if there is some sort of a damaging effect or an adverse effect is then and only then is that effect reported to the FDA. So it's really unfortunate because sometimes companies might get into the market that either are not super familiar with good manufacturing practices or don't quite understand the laws around claims, or don't do their due diligence intentionally or unintentionally around ingredient quality, so that they might be at risk for unintentional adulteration of the supplement that they're getting. And so what can happen there is, people have adverse effects. So unfortunately, about 24,000 people a year go to the emergency room because of side effects that they have had from taking dietary supplements. So there's definitely some risk involved in taking dietary supplements because of the way that they are currently regulated. And so basically, once an adverse effect is found out, then the FDA starts to do their investigation. If they find that something is wrong, they remove the product from the market. Then generally what happens is that manufacturer makes a little bit of a change, then they put that product right back out on the market, and then kind of hopefully wait and see. Hopefully nobody is harmed, but then this whole cycle can go around and around again. And this is because of the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act in 1994 that basically said supplements are not regulated like foods, and they're not regulated like prescription drugs. They're their own category, and currently this is how the FDA is regulating them. So definitely some risk involved. Wanted to let you know that up front. And these dietary supplements, they can come in many different forms. They can be pills, they can be capsules, they can be powders, they can be concentrates, they can be gummies, they can be drinks, they can even actually look like food. And so sometimes that can get pretty confusing. All right. And with these things, there's always risk, and the current way of regulating them is pretty reactionary. So it's on you and it's on us at Northwestern to make sure that we take a proactive approach to our dietary supplementation. So I'm going to walk you through that now. There are some scenarios where, it's been too late for some athletes, and it's really, really unfortunate. The story about Madison Cox, was taking this multivitamin for 7 years. She had been drug tested over 20 times. She had always disclosed this supplement. And then out of nowhere, she failed a drug test. And what you sign on for with WADA is that when you fail a drug test, there's some pretty harsh sanctions. And for somebody who is competing at the top of her game, this was really, really unfortunate. And so the take-home point here is that even if you've been taking the same supplement for years and years, all a company needs to do is start sourcing something from a different place, and then that relatively safe supplement could now become unsafe, and nothing changed on the label, nothing at all, but it can cause a positive drug test or it can cause adverse side effects. So you can't necessarily rest assured that if you've been taking a supplement for a while and you've been drug tested or you haven't had any side effects, that you won't have any side effects in the future. Another story about Will Greer, a football player down at the University of Florida, was just, honestly trying to do the best that he could to put on lean mass and do it in as safe as way possible. So he was frequenting a nutrition store in Florida. And this is the third time that he had been to the nutrition store. So he knew the store clerk, and the store clerk recommended Ligandrol to Will. And so knowing that this was something new, tried to do his due diligence. He checked all the ingredients on the bottle, checked the NCAA banned substance list. It wasn't on there. He said, I did my research, I was confident in it, and what I didn't do is ask. And so if you are not well versed in dietary supplements and digging into this stuff all the time, you wouldn't necessarily know that Ligandrol is similar in chemical composition to steroids. And so even though it's not listed specifically on the NCAA banned substances list, if you test positive for that substance, then you lose your year of eligibility. And so I just inserted this banned substance list. And so, you can do your due diligence and checking for all these different things, but ultimately, the responsibility is on you to be able to navigate the chemical compositions of all these different things in the dietary supplements. And so, I'm probably going to say it multiple times, but it's your responsibility to ask. And even if it seems like a relatively safe protein powder or safe multivitamin or safe whatever, it's really important that you ask for help, because this stuff is really challenging to navigate. I mean, our group, some of the dietitians in our group have been navigating this for 10 years. And it's still challenging. It's challenging for us. And so it's nearly impossible for people who haven't been in it for 10 years. So I wanted to walk you through what we do when we get a question about a dietary supplement, just to kind of show you the process for thoroughly reviewing a dietary supplement before you put it in your body. So all formal and informal disclosures of supplements to our staff triggers a review. And so any questions that we get from athletes about supplements, or on your pre-season Teamworks forms that you fill out if you list a supplement, that goes to our staff and it triggers this review process. So what we do is you get one of these supplement evaluation forms from our staff, and it outlines the NUDAR's nutritional supplementation policy and kind of highlights some of the things that we talked about regarding supplements not being very well regulated, and then also just reinforces the fact that the responsibility is on you to keep your body safe, and so you need to really know what is going in it. So next, we investigate some of the claims and kind of outline the claims of the supplement to you, and then we go through and we review the active ingredients. And sometimes there's a lot of active ingredients, sometimes there's just a few. But in this case, we reviewed the caffeine in the supplement, the beta-alanine, creatine, L-citrulline, and a few other things. And so we go through and review these for safety, review these for potential banned substances, and then we also review them for, is it possible to get this amount of this nutrient through food? And if it is, how easy is it? And we want to make sure that you all know about that. And so finally, we give you some final reminders on the fact that these are not regulated very well. We tell you that lots of times just so you're aware of the risk, and the just conclusion. And so for our conclusions, we usually rank our supplements as either low risk, moderate risk, or high risk. And so this particular supplement we listed as high risk because it either contained something that was a banned substance, contained very high levels of caffeine that would be dangerous for your health. Those are just a couple examples of why we would rate something that high risk, and then just kind of giving you our recommendations for, should you take this supplement, should you not take this supplement, should you do food. And so that's kind of a quick process of how we go through this. But it does take, quite some time to review dietary supplements, especially if there's a lot of ingredients. And so I would just encourage you that if you're on this call and you're taking a dietary supplement and you haven't had it reviewed by a dietitian, I would go ahead and do that. Please reach out. We're happy to help. So let's talk a little bit about multivitamins and minerals, because this is probably one of the most common dietary supplements that we have athletes ask about. So when we're looking at a multivitamin or a mineral, a couple things we look out for as a dietitian. We look out for megadoses. And so megadoses are when you look on the supplement facts label and you see it's 1,000% or more of a particular vitamin and mineral in terms of the daily value. So I'll give some examples here in a second of a megadose. We also look out on vitamins and minerals for extra herbal ingredients. And so we review the herbal ingredients even more in depth, because there's not always a ton of research on herbal ingredients, and there can be some interactions, and I'll review that in a second with you all. And then again, looking for that third-party testing. And so I'm going to get into third-party testing in a little bit, but third-party testing gives us an idea about the extra level of regulation and scrutiny that a supplement could undergo before it hits the market, which is a good thing for us. So let's look at an example. We see a lot of like hair, skin, and nails type of supplements, and this is a kind of a hair, skin, and nails focused multivitamin. And so a couple of things I wanted to point out to you. The first arrow shows biotin. And so biotin is well known for helping us have healthy hair and skin and nails. And you can see here that we have a mega dose of biotin. So we have 1,667% of the biotin that we need in a day. And so it's, obviously I think everyone on this call is shaking their head. So that is really unnecessary, because it is. But what are the side effects of that? And so for some vitamins and minerals, the side effects are not that great. And some of them they are. I think that we can get into a sticky situation. I hear from some athletes, oh, it's a water soluble vitamin or mineral. I'm just going to pee it out, and it's not a problem if I get extra of it. But even some of those water soluble vitamins and minerals can have side effects. And so some people, if they are having mega doses of biotin for a long time, actually end up having skin rashes, which is kind of the opposite of what they're looking for. Or they might end up having some GI distress like diarrhea. And so those are things to just to kind of watch out for. The second arrow is pointing to an herbal ingredient, horsetail. And so we would look into that as dietitians, look into the research, the safety, the efficacy behind horsetail. Does it have any benefits in terms of health? Does it have any benefits in terms of performance? Are there any side effects? So I just kind of wanted to walk you through one of the references that we use in order to do that. And so we use the Natural Medicines Database as one of our references for exploring herbal ingredients. And so this database is awesome because it allows us to kind of look through the background of the herbal ingredient, what kind of plant maybe it's sourced from. It talks to us about, potential uses. It talks to us about the safety, maybe this ingredient is potentially unsafe when it's used long term. It looks like it could potentially cause thiamine deficiency. And so that could be an issue. What could it potentially be effective for? What about dose? What's a safe dose? So we look at how many milligrams or whatever it is in the product. And, what about, elderly versus adults? What are the potential adverse side effects? It's kind of interesting that there is potentially some dermatologic side effects in a supplement that is aimed at hair, skin, and nail health. But you can see, potentially some gastrointestinal side effects, some potential liver side effects of this one. And so, those are all just things that we would summarize on these dietary supplement review forms and hand back to you. Another thing that we're looking out for is interactions with drugs or potentially interactions with other supplements. It's possible that we have an athlete who has a family history of high blood pressure, maybe is on a diuretic or something like that. This particular ingredient would interact with that. So that's not a very good thing. Those are things we would check for and then let you know. So that's just a pretty quick overview of some of the things that we would look at. And then obviously there's some references that we can source from this website in order to dig even deeper into these herbal supplements. And so, one thing I want you to just keep in mind is that there are some supplements that have a lot of herbal ingredients in them. And so we would need to go through every single one of those herbal ingredients. And we've actually had some athletes here who have asked questions, thank goodness, before they put anything in their body, but they've asked questions about a supplement regimen that has almost 100 different herbal things in it. And so that takes a lot of time to review. And definitely when the ingredient list gets that long, it's going to increase risk of that supplement containing accidentally or on purpose containing something that we don't want it to. And it's going to absolutely increase risk of these ingredients interacting with each other or something else that this person has going on. So that could be another red flag that you all look out for, is just the length of that ingredients list. If it's incredibly long or it contains a lot of different herbal ingredients, that's another sign that do not take it. Ask questions first, and we can definitely help you through that. So let's talk about if you are interested in a multivitamin or a mineral. This can be a very appropriate supplement for athletes to be considering. So first step would be to talk with a sports dietitian. Do you have specific nutrient gaps or deficiencies that you in particular need to fill? Maybe your iron is a little bit low. Maybe your vitamin D is a little bit low, and maybe we can choose a multivitamin that would support you keeping those particular nutrients in their appropriate levels. So definitely talk to us so that we can help you pick out one that's going to be low risk and appropriate for you. I said already, avoid extra ingredients, avoid mega doses in our multivitamins. So check out your labels if you have a multivitamin around, and then check for third-party certification. So I want to spend a little bit of time explaining third-party certification. So third-party certification is specific companies going in to the supplement manufacturer and looking at the potency, the purity, and kind of making sure that what's in the bottle actually matches the label. And there are companies that do this at a very high level, meaning that they will test every single batch, that they will do random testing where they'll actually go into a store and pick that supplement off a shelf and do additional testing there in addition to what's going on in the manufacturing plant. So these third-party testing certifications really mean something. So if you check out, the one I wanted to highlight was NSF Certified for Sport. And so if we look, you can go to the NSF Certified for Sport website, and you can see, if we scroll down here a little bit, you can see that they have an app, which is really great. So this app allows you to go in and search for multivitamin. So you could go in the app and search multivitamin, or you could go to the website and you could search multivitamin directly from the website. So once you put it in the search bar, it'll actually tell you which multivitamins are NSF certified for sport. So they've gone through that extra level of checking to make sure that what's on the ingredient list on the outside is in the bottle. And that's not true necessarily of supplements that don't have these labels on them. So you can go to this site, and that's a really good place for you to start. Now, it doesn't mean that you can just take anything you want that's NSF certified for sport either, because you still want to check with us to make sure that, we're not having interactions with multiple supplements, and our timing and our dose and all those things are appropriate. But this is a really, really good place to start. I'm just looking at this website, and there's a few other third-party testing organizations that are great. I wanted to point out Informed Sport, and I wanted to point out the United States Pharmacopoeia, USP. So if you have some vitamins at home, check them out. Look and see if they have any of these symbols on them. If they don't have any of these symbols on them, your supplement is probably not low risk. But come check out with us, and we can investigate that a little bit more. But that means that you're really putting a lot of faith in that supplement company, that they have done all of their due diligence and they haven't missed a step in making sure that what's on the label is actually in the bottle. And an alarming amount of supplement, when just kind of tested randomly, are not pure, are not potent, and contain things that are not on the label or in amounts that are different from what's on the label. I mean, I've read some studies that show 80% perhaps of supplements that are not third-party tested, and the label is not representative of what's in the bottle. So really, really, really important that we have third-party testing on our supplements. Okay. So let's go on and talk a little bit about single vitamins and minerals, okay? Single vitamins and minerals can be really very appropriate if you have a deficiency. Here, we test some athletes for iron deficiency if they're in a sport or at risk for other reasons. And so it's possible that we have athletes with vitamin D deficiency, with iron deficiency, kind of like I mentioned. And so for athletes with a kind of a proven deficiency, it's going to be pretty hard for them to get all that they need through food in order to correct that deficiency. So that's when a supplement might be really helpful. I wanted to point out this example of a supplement that an athlete asked about. It was a potassium supplement, 99 milligrams. And so an athlete was taking it because they were a frequent cramper, and they were thinking that the extra potassium would really help with their muscle cramps. And so when we got this supplement and reviewed it, we recognize that 99 milligrams of potassium really isn't very much potassium at all. It's actually the same amount of potassium in a fourth of a banana, or 25 raisins, or just 3 bites of a potato. So sometimes we get supplements coming in, and athletes are just unaware of how easy it would be to get this through food. And obviously when you're getting nutrients through food, you're also getting a host of other benefits in terms of other vitamins and minerals, and protein, and healthy fats, and all kinds of different things. So it's best if we can get our nutrients through food. If we can't, then we can look at some of these single vitamin and minerals. So if you are somebody who is a frequent cramper, or you're a heavy sweater, or you're looking for an additional electrolyte, we can point you towards sodium and potassium rich foods, or we have some sodium containing electrolyte supplements here at the Fuel Bar. So we outlined these a little bit more in our Fuel for Thought a few weeks ago on hydration. So you can go back and check that one out if you have questions about electrolytes. But even in those electrolytes and those electrolyte supplements, we are looking for third-party testing. And so you can see that this I don't know if you can see all the way around it, so you might want to see it in real life, but this particular supplement is not third-party tested. So do I really know that it has 99 milligrams of potassium in it? No, I don't know that for sure. And do I really know that it's just potassium in this bottle and not anything else? No, I don't know that either. So just a couple of things to keep in mind there. So in terms of, your considerations for supplementation, okay, evidence-based supplementation can be really powerful. We do supplementation here in performance nutrition. Many of our staff members have vitamins, minerals, and things like that we take personally. And so we'd be happy to chat with you about that. But effective, evidence-based, and safe supplementation can really enhance the body's energy systems. It can help high-level athletes with completing their high-intensity work. It can fill nutrient gaps that are missing from the diet. And so this can be really, really helpful in health and performance. You might need a dietary supplement if you have some sort of malabsorption issues where you're not absorbing all of the nutrients that go into your body because you have some sort of GI stomach issue. And that's not that uncommon. Also, you might have a vitamin and mineral deficiency that you need to correct. So you need a dietary supplement in order to do that. You might have specific dietary preferences, like maybe you're vegan, or maybe you are allergic to all dairy, or you have to cut out specific foods or food groups for medical reasons. And so if you need to do that, then we may need to look at a dietary supplement to cover those bases, those nutritional bases. It's possible that you are recovering from an injury or an illness, and that particular injury or illness requires more of certain nutrients that you're not able to get through food for one reason or another. And we can help you if you are in need of supplementation for that reason. And then maybe you just have needs beyond what food provides in terms of, maybe looking at a fish oil supplement or something that you just can't get enough fish in order to get the amount of fish that you need in a day. So these are reasons why we would help you select a dietary supplement that is safe and effective. So, a lot of times athletes, have questions. They think that they really need a dietary supplement. Maybe you're concerned that you're missing out on certain vitamins or minerals because of your diet preferences or your living situation or your food access or something like that. Maybe you're feeling tired and stressed out, and you're thinking that a dietary supplement can help with your stress or your fatigue or maybe your pain that you're in. Um, Maybe you're just like searching for something to try to boost your health or boost your immune system. I think that's the biggest jump in supplements that we've seen in the past few months, is just immune supporting and immune claiming to boost your immune system supplements. And a lot of our athletes are really encouraged by family or friends to consider taking certain supplements for one reason or another. So if you are kind of facing some of these questions, or if you're having some of these thoughts, please reach out. We can help you. We would love to help you. We would love to help guide you through the evidence for effective supplements, for safe supplements, for protecting your eligibility. We can also help you with the dosing of the supplements and the timing of the supplements to make sure that they're going to be effective. They're not going to bother your stomach as much. And so we can also help assess your current diet and identify any gaps. And then we can definitely even provide some low-risk supplements here at the Fuel Bar. And so, I think one thing we really need to keep in mind is that, because of the way that supplements are regulated or not regulated by the FDA, there's always going to be some amount of risk that come with these supplements. We just, you got to just kind of weigh the benefits to the risks, right? And so there's always going to be some amount of risk, but what can we do to mitigate that risk as much as possible? So I just kind of put down some things here that we offer at the Fuel Bar, and that we would offer if we found a deficiency. The one I wanted to point out to is Fuel for Fire, because it's one of our most popular items at the Fuel Bar. It's a little smoothie pouch. And so Fuel for Fire is actually a food. It has a nutrition facts label on it. But as your performance nutrition department, we kind of go the extra mile in ensuring that our foods also contain proteins that are safe as well. And so just kind of an extra step that we take in figuring out, where is this protein being sourced from? If it's being sourced through a supplement channel, is that protein that's going into this particular pouch, is it a third-party tested protein, or is that protein kind of coming through more of a food-based channel? And so this particular product sources a protein through a food-based channel, but these are the questions that we ask to make sure that we are providing safe foods for you all at the Fuel Bar. So I want to leave you with a weekly challenge that you should, if you haven't already, contact your sports dietitian to review your dietary supplements. So if you haven't done this yet, or you just started something new, or you're thinking about starting something new, I encourage you to be proactive, right? And not reactive, like some of those cases that we talked about at the beginning. Be proactive about your dietary supplements, and definitely reach out for help, because we talked about some of the nuances, and you definitely should not go at this on your own. So that is all the content that I have for you all today. I will definitely hang out here on the video chat